I'm going to save you some time right off the bat. This is not a spec sheet video. If you want to know the exact bitrate and codec options for the Canon C80, I would say go read the manual. What I want to tell you is why I bought this camera, what I use it for, what I gave up to get it, and whether this camera might be the right option for you. I'm a freelance filmmaker that works on a wide variety of different types of shoots. I do documentaries, I do stuff for celebrities, I do social media content, and I own both the Canon C80 and the Canon C50, which this is being filmed on right now. And I use both of these cameras for completely different things. So by the end of this video, you're going to know what the Canon C80 is built for, what it isn't, and whether you actually need it. Rewinding back several years, my first introduction to the cinema camera world was the Blackmagic Pocket 4K camera, and I ran that thing for about 3 years until I upgraded to the Canon C70, which was then to be replaced by the Canon C80. Now the Canon C70 was great to me. I took it on so many different projects, I traveled the world with it, and it was fantastic for a really long time until there were some limitations that I noticed that started to really kind of get in the way of my creative process. And what I realized is I actually really enjoy a sharper image. I like to be able to soften it if I need to, rather than having a soft sensor and then needing to add sharpening to it. And the C70 with the Super 35 sensor had a pretty soft image compared to the C80. So one of the things I was most excited about was that this thing had full frame as compared to a Super 35 sensor, which means that it had a lot sharper image along with having a wider field of view and the ability to have triple base ISO in this thing, which the Canon C70 only had dual base ISO. So as I started to kind of grow in my career, I realized that, man, I needed a lot more versatility out of my camera that the C70 could no longer provide. And this thing came out at the perfect time that addressed a lot of the pain points that I was struggling with. So these are the upgrades that made upgrading from the Canon C70 to the C80 completely worth it. Number one, triple base ISO. This thing has a native ISO range at 800, 3200, and 12,800, which this is the first Canon camera to my knowledge that actually hits that 12,800 mark. It used to just be Sony, but now this thing kind of broke the internet with that upgrade. Now I was so stoked on this because really the triple base ISO is the only thing that ever made me even entertain wanting to switch to Sony. But once this camera system came out with the triple base ISO, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally sold. I need this camera, because a lot of the work that I was doing at the time was documentary work in different countries, and lighting environments were just, there was so much variability to it that I needed that ability to be able to crank to 12.8 and have a clean image that my Canon C70 with the Super 35 sensor and maxing out your ISO range at 3200 just could not provide. So having that headroom now in the Canon C80 means that I'm not fighting against the camera. It just gives me so much more flexibility to be able to react to whatever shooting environment that the world throws at me. Now, the other thing that was a pretty major upgrade, but honestly didn't really sell me that much, was the fact that this thing shoots 6K instead of 4K. 4K has always been fine, it's been good enough. I've never had any complaints or wished that I had 6K, because with how much memory is costing these days, honestly, shooting 6K isn't something that I necessarily even want to do unless I have to. But having the ability to shoot 6K obviously is going to yield a sharper image. It's going to future-proof my content for my clients, and it gives me a lot more latitude to reframe and post. If I want to cut up stuff for social media, I can shoot in 6K and then crop in any way that I want and have so much flexibility to deliver for horizontal for YouTube or for my documentary work, but then also cut vertical content for social media. So even shooting in 4K, I believe you're downsampling from 6K, so you're actually getting a sharper 4K image than you were on the Canon C70 with the Super 35 mode. I'm pretty much never shooting in 6K, but the 4K on this thing looks so freaking sharp that I've just been so happy with it. Now, another upgrade that made me want to switch to the Canon C80 was the fact that this thing implemented an SDI port, which is huge. If you've ever had an HDMI come loose or wiggle loose on set or break, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. It is so worth it to have an SDI system on your camera because it future-proofs you for doing live feed or anything like that, but it's also just a much more secure connection and makes you feel like you're actually, you just don't got, it's just less that you got to worry about. Now this one is probably my favorite feature, and the Canon C70 had it as well, but I just need to talk about it because once you have it, you can never go without it. And that is 10 stops of internal ND. 10. That's the most insane thing ever, and it's like one of those things where once you get it, you can't even understand how you ever went without it, and once you lose it, you just kind of forget of how much of a luxury that they are. And the minute you shoot on a camera without them, you're like, what the heck am I doing? It just feels cheap. And for documentary work, when you're moving really fast and you're in so many different lighting conditions, having internal NDs at the push of a button is really a non-negotiable. You don't want to be screwing on and off filters when you're moving in and out of buildings. It's not the way. So internal NDs is a non-negotiable for me, probably forever, until they come out with some other crazy technology. And now here's another upgrade that seems nitpicky, but if you've shot on the Canon C70, you know what I'm talking about. They fixed the freaking LCD screen. The LCD screen was notorious on the C70 for being flimsy, breaking. It didn't lock in place, so when you snap it to the back of the camera body, it just is it wiggles and it's loose, and it just makes you feel like you're playing with a toy camera. And it was so annoying. It was definitely a little oversight in their production, but on the Canon C80, they fixed that. It's got a little locking notch on it, so you can snap it in place and that thing is secure. It's not going anywhere. Now, I want to be straight up with you because I think one of the most beneficial things in a gear review is actually when someone tells you what the camera doesn't do well. So that's what I want to talk about now. The Canon C80 records to regular SD cards, which doesn't sound like a big deal. You're like, so what? But when you look at cameras like the Canon C400, which is like the bigger brother to this guy, that thing records to, I think, CF Express Type B. And if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that Canon got an upgrade to the Canon C400 that allows it to shoot in open gate. And this camera, even though it has the same exact sensor as the C400, I think has been crippled by its SD card. An open gate upgrade is not going to be coming to the Canon C80 because of simply the SD card limitations, which is such a big bummer, because if they would have put at least one CF Express card in the camera like they did in the C50, you could probably have unlocked open gate because it's the same sensor as the C400. So that is a huge bummer for future proofing. You're stuck at that 16:9 aspect ratio full frame, which is still great, but if you wanted the flexibility to have open gate in the future, you're probably not going to get it. So that is definitely one huge limitation of the Canon C80. Another limitation is this thing is huge. It is so big, and until I got the C50, I didn't realize what I was missing in terms of how travel friendly a camera can be. The C80 is massive, and granted, I have it built out right now on V-mounts and it's rigged out on, a dovetail and whatnot, but even run at its most bare bones state, it is still like twice as big as the Canon C50 or the FX3. It's fine if you like that, but I got pretty tired of it because a lot of the work that I was doing was going into events, and I was going into like after parties and shooting social content on the streets where I wanted to be a little bit more discreet. But when you have a camera so big, you literally cannot be discreet. Like, this thing is probably 15 pounds, and I don't even have the monitor, mic, or anything like that on it, and it is heavy. That could be a downside for some people. It kind of was for me with the type of work that I was doing, especially when it wasn't documentary work. This was my only camera until I got the C50, so lugging this thing around and on airplanes and carry-ons and stuff was just like, it got really old really fast. So that is ultimately why I upgraded to the C50. Not necessarily upgrade, but added a C50 to my kit, is for social media content, and then I keep this thing for documentary work. So I own both cameras, the C50 and the C80, and they're both workhorses for the specific tasks in which they're assigned to do. And I made the decision early on of what each one is for, and I don't really blend or cross those lines too often. C50 is my everyday camera. It's for social content, it's for travel, it's for documenting everyday life. It's the one that goes with me everywhere all day long. It's nimble, it's fast, it doesn't draw any attention, and these days I use it like 90% of the time. And the C80 is my cinema rig. I use it when I'm on documentary shoots or bigger productions or situations where a client is expecting a certain level of professionalism, even if it is like vanity. Just because it's a bigger rig doesn't mean that you're gonna have a better product. Sometimes, honestly, I could feel like I could shoot a better product on the C50, but it's neither here nor there. Knowing what each camera is for removed a lot of decision fatigue for me. I thought that I had to sell this when I got that, or shouldn't have bought that because I have this, but each one has their place and they're so good at what they do that I think I will be running both of these cameras in my kit for the foreseeable future until something else comes along or more pain points come along or my work shifts in a way where I need different things out of my cameras. But right now, this setup is perfect for me. I would recommend you thinking about the way that you want to use your cameras before you buy this one What specifically do you need out of your camera, and do you already have one that accomplishes those needs for you, or is this thing suited well for the type of work that you do? If you're a freelance filmmaker working on documentaries, longer form productions where quality and reliability is really important to you and is a non-negotiable, then yes, this camera is for you. If you're primarily shooting social content, run and gun, you need something that's super nimble, quick, easy to pull out of your bag, and is discreet, then the Canon C50 is absolutely for you. I've linked both cameras down in the description along with the rest of my kit if you want to check any of it out. If you found this useful, subscribe. I'm posting every week about filmmaking, gear, the creative life, and what it's like building a career behind the camera. New video every week. Let's go.